welcome to another episode of What's Julian up on this car. Okay, so this is Charlie's car underneath, the RS2. As you can see, it's had lots of things done to it. Thought I'd just take you through what's been done and why we've done it, basically. So if we start at the very front, you've got sort of the intercooler here. This is a Wagner intercooler. You can see that. I don't know if the light's going to shine on it. That's the Wagner front mount cooler we've done there. The sump's been painted in like a gunmetal grey. This has a baffle kit inside it as well. If it goes on track or around any corners, it'll stop the oil flowing around too much, and it'll always pick the oil up in the oil pump pickup. We've got powder coated subframes, so we've done solid aluminium bushes on the main bushes that hold the subframe to the vehicle. They're normally rubber, so we've solid mounted that to stop movement. The RS2 has huge brake ducts as normal anyway, which bolt onto the bottom arms here, and then that obviously directs the air into the disc to cool the disc down. Staying with the brakes, we've got a Porsche monoblock conversion. This is from a 996 GT3, and then we're running a Porsche 965 turbo disc on the front. These cars come with Porsche hubs anyway, so because they come with a Porsche hub, it enables us to run various different Porsche parts on the braking system. Then we've just made this bracket here is a custom bracket. It's been anodised black, so we can utilise a different caliper. They normally had a 9 to 8 disc and caliper on it, but obviously these are a bigger brake disc, slightly thicker, and the caliper is a monoblock caliper, so it's all one piece, it's not bolted together. Then this is the original gearbox. So this gearbox has been rebuilt with new synchros, carbon synchros, etc. It has a standard front diff and it has a standard torsion centre diff, which we've left in there. The engine mounts, you can see up here, these are billet aluminium with like a Delrin insert, which is like a hard plastic, and then it has a slightly less, has a polyurethane part in the middle, which gives a little bit of anti-vibration to stop the car getting loads of vibration from the engine through the chassis. Obviously the engine's fully built, so it's been balanced as well, so we get a much less vibration from this engine because the engine's been balanced super good. So we've also got, as you can see underneath, there's it's like a 70mm aluminium radiator as well, which is much bigger. We run oil temp in the sump here. This runs to the Motec ECU. This is the drain here, which we run down from the breather system, so we drain back into the sump so that the oil's constantly, if it goes into the breather system, it just drains back in. And we've got the air filter runs down here to get nice cool air, rather than it being in the engine bay, run it down the bottom here. Normally there'll be an under tray on this part, so the air that comes in through the front here will go straight to the air filter. But obviously we've taken it off for the video. And then the lower arms, again, they're rebushed, as are the roll bar. Standard drop links on the roll bar, that's all we need. It's got KW suspension on it. It's a KW variant 3. It's fully adjustable, bump and rebound. And then these are little funky things they put under the car. So these are from factory. These are like skid plates. So the original car had 2 caps here, and then it comes down into a single piece. So to stop the caps getting hit by anything in the road, or sort of like a sleeping policeman type of thing, they put these skid plates here to stop you damaging the cats. There's something that come from factory. Then we go down to the back of the car. Obviously the exhaust system's a full 3-inch custom made exhaust system. Again, the rear's all been off, all the rear subframes all been powder coated, all brand new bolts. These are, again, we've got aluminium mounts made for the subframe to mount it solid to the car. Keeps the car much more, there's no flex in the axles then when you turn in the corner, etc. Again, you've got your KW variant 3s on the back, which have a separate canister. You can see that just there. So that's your separate canister for your rear suspension. And then if we go to the diff, just here, the front diff mount, these are basically an aluminium billet mount for the front and for the back, because the back comes with a cast mount. When you launch the car really hard, it twists and it shears the cast mount, so we made some billet ones to stop that happening. And then these are like nylon bushes again that go in to stop the flex on the diff. All the brake lines have been replaced with copper nickel brake lines, and then obviously Goodrich hoses. It's a rear new speed roll bar, which is a much bigger roll bar with billet D bushes on that. And again, the rear has, that actually is a 928 GTS rear disc, which is drilled, and then we run the GT3 rear caliper on a bracket from a 996, and then that's basically your setup for the vehicle underneath. Obviously the wheels, there are 888s on there. The wheels haven't been refurbed on this car. Charlie's got a few sets of these, so I'm sure we'll get a set of refurb wheels on it eventually, but for the road and for track, there's no point in putting a brand new set of wheels on it. If he's going to go and show it, then you would do that. But yeah, that's it. The rear roll bar is set on hard as well, so it's adjustable. On this type of vehicle with the engine quite far forward, you get a bit of understeer, and the bump steer on the front is quite bad on these cars. So we set the rear quite hard to make the front dig in, and that helps with the understeer on the vehicle. This car actually handles quite well for an Audi with this type of engine in it. You can't see the fuel system, but we've put a new fuel filter in, which is meant to be a lifer because you have to drop the tank down to fit them, so we're anything else. But we had the tank out anyway, so obviously it's got a Bosch 04, not obviously, but it has a Bosch 044 pump in the tank. And then we have the rear diff is actually a wave track rear diff. So that's all fitted inside there. So we've got like a Torsen bias rear diff in there as well. So you get a bit of back end action if you want it. You like a 5-cylinder car, don't you?
I do very much like a 5-cylinder car. They sound beautiful.
I'll put the window down first this time.
It's a good idea. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Can't be a good 5-pot.
I very much agree.
So, I mean, we've already done a video on this, but with Calvin, haven't we? But we thought we'd do one on our channel just so that we could probably give a bit more in-depth detail on what we've done to the car. So, we did a little video underneath, didn't we?
We did indeed.
So we'll talk more about the engine and running gear, I suppose, and the interior of the car as well. So we've done, start at the front, we've got it's a Motec engine management system, so which has got all logging capabilities and anti-lag, launch control, and we run nitrous on the car, which you can see the bottles in the back.
Fast and Furious shit.
That's it. So the nitrous is run by the Motec engine ECU as well. So we have a solenoid which the engine ECU obviously controls, but we only it's a dry system we run, which is basically a system where you run just a nitrous solenoid and that's it. The fuel, the extra fuel you need when you put the nitrous in, we put in via the injectors. Basically it's called a dry kit. A wet kit would be fuel and nitrous on one nozzle. So it's a dry kit. It's better to control it this way because we've got, you know, a fuel trim to the ECU, so depending on the pressure of the nitrous, the ECU will trim itself as well, so you don't get a rich or a lean mixture basically. As long as you wouldn't, like really you want it to be about 900 psi pressure on the nitrous, roughly. So that needs a certain heat. If the bottle's too cold, it won't get the pressure. Okay. So, but you wouldn't, like if it was 400 psi, you wouldn't probably turn the nitrous on. There's no point. Right. It's just going to run way rich. Right. So, but that's another video we can do on nitrous maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot that I don't know about nitrous at all.
Yeah, and maybe other people. So, and then we've got so internally in the car we've got an SLM module here, which is a shift light module. Right. That's from the Motec, so that tells us when to shift. You know, that's all set from the engine ECU. We've got a Motec dash just here, which is the D153 Motec dash. That has a little blue button there, so we can scroll through the pages. That'll tell us everything that's going on with the engine, basically, because we've got the original dash clocks there. Right. It's like a mini dash, basically. We've got 10 position boost, so 10 different positions for boost control. Then down here we've got anti-lag, launch control, nitrous turn on, nitrous purge. So that's all run down there. Then on the dash over here we've got a nitrous pressure gauge. Right. So the bottles open electronically. Ah. So they've got electronic openers, so you just press a button and the bottle's open. That's cool. So that's pretty cool. That's smart. The bottles it's a 2-bottle system, they're linked together, so it'll, you know, it lasts basically longer. And then we've got the original gauges down here, so oil pressure, oil temp and voltage. Yep. Just to keep some analog gauges in there as well. Yeah, it keeps and that's it. We've got a boost gauge here as well, so a customer wanted a boost gauge, Charlie's really one on there, so that's what we could, you know, whack that one. That's an AEM boost gauge. It's white to go with the gauges. We've also done an Alpine stereo on the car as well, so it's got different Alpine speakers in here. So that's all been upgraded, and it's got like a spare wheel well sub in the boot. Sweet. Then we've got the TRS aluminium clasp harnesses as well. So these are like a full 6-point harness. And then we've got obviously the rear cage is done by John Webster Race Engineering for us. That's a TIG welded bolt-in cage in the rear just to give some protection. So yeah, and that's it. It's original carbon fibre. I was going to ask.
parts.
Yeah, that's all
nice.
original inside, that's factory. And then we've got an early type steering wheel, so a non-airbag steering wheel on like a snap-off box. So if you press that now and pull it off, then the steering wheel comes off. It's not really a good idea right now.
Yeah, wouldn't recommend.
No, I wouldn't recommend. So that's pretty much it internally. So gearbox-wise, so clutch-wise, this has got a Sachs paddle clutch in here. We've got engine-wise, a fully built engine, fully ported cylinder head, all matched and CC chambers, rods, pistons, balanced. The whole bottom end's balanced properly by Vibration Free, a company where they do everything internally in the block rotationally. Then we've got cat cams in here, cat cams, valve springs, Supertech valves. So you know it's pretty. You know everything's been done to the engine that can be. We've got a Borg Warner 7163 turbo on there, tubular manifold. We've got a Turbo Smart wastegate and standard Porsche inlet manifold that comes on the RS2, which is basically just a normal S2 one with a Porsche inscription on it.
Okay.
That's been cut open and then it has these tubes that run through the manifold so you can get a long Allen key in to take it off.
Right.
Well, tools have come a long way since they first did this, so you don't have to run that now. So we've cut the manifold open, removed the tubes, moved it out inside to give it more flow, and then that's been painted. It's a custom made engine wiring loom by Dave Rowe at EPS Motorsport. It's got one of our VRS breather kits on here. It's got a baffled sump and various other things on there. It's got an aluminium radiator that we do as well. So a much bigger radiator. Standard power steering, standard braking system, but we've got uprated brakes on here, which are the Porsche monoblock calipers all round.
Right.
And obviously different disc pads, which I touched on in the other part of the video. Wave track rear diff, 6-speed standard 6. It's got a different shifter in it as well down here. So it's a cooler works shifter.
Pretty cool.
That's it really.
I was going to say I don't know much about these cars at all. I'm sure like others probably don't. Is it a sort of 50-50 collaboration between Audi and Porsche, this car? Did they both sort of contribute in terms of manufacturing parts?
What happened was that Audi had built this car, and then I don't know what the agreement was in the first place. I'm sure you can Google it and find out, but basically Porsche took the Audi S2 Avant. They had a line where they built certain cars on, and the E500 Mercedes, I believe, was built on the same line as this by Porsche.
All right.
That had wider front wings and different engine and stuff. But yeah, this car was built at Porsche and it had various different parts put on it. They just breathed on it. So a standard S2 Avant was 230 horsepower.
Right.
And a standard RS2, which only came in the Avant, was 315 horsepower.
Okay.
So it was nearly another 100 horsepower more.
Jump.
Yeah, so it's quite a big difference. And it was, for a while, I think it was like the fastest estate car, and stuff like that. So 0 to 60, and it was a quick car back in the day. Standard car, it was a really quick car.
Imagine.
So I think they were about 50 grand when they were new, 48 to 50 grand. So they weren't massive money, but they were probably back in 1995, 96. So
have these gone up now? Are these quite valuable at the moment?
yeah, anywhere from 40 to 100 grand, depending on mileage and condition.
Super cool. Really, really, really cool car. I like it a lot. Yeah, it's got a lot of character, and I think that's the thing about these sort of generations of cars. You don't really see them much at all on the roads these days, and it's almost like they catch your eye for that purpose. They're just modern cars don't. They lack some sort, in my opinion, some sort of design or presence.
So many of them, though, isn't there?
Yeah.
They all look fairly plain. This is like out the box different,
It is.
For a car in, like you see people nowadays, they buy Porsche calipers and put them on their whatever car they've got, their Golf or whatever. Audi put Porsche calipers on in 1994 when they first did this, So we're miles behind, They were tuning cars before we were. But they were using Porsche, not VRS.
Right. Have you guys, you put the software on this as well? Have you tuned?
Yeah, well, Dave Rowe from EPS Motorsports mapped this. It's a fully mappable ECU, so this is basically a Motec M84 standalone ECU, so you map it from scratch. It just comes blank and then you have to put everything in there.
I was going to say, how much of a challenge is it to tune? So I'm imagining
it's
these.
easy enough.
Really? Really?
So, easy enough. It's not particularly bad. So as long as you build the car right in the first place, then the car should be easy to do.
Yeah.
So if you build the car badly with the wrong parts, then they become difficult to tune, you know.
Yeah. Does the nitrous in any way, can that have like a sort of negative impact on the car if sort of...
Not the amount we're using.
Not the amount you're using, no.
I
Okay.
mean, my old Audi 80 drag car, I ran 150 shot of gas on that.
Right.
This has got like a 30 or 40 shot on it, you know. It's only there to, you know, just give it a little bit more torque and spool. So,
Nice. Wicked.
when you, like, because these cars are fairly old, they're not massively high compression.
Yeah.
You know, they can be fairly laggy, so to take away that lag, and it's not got a massive turbo on it actually, but to take away that lag, you just put the nitrous in there just to give you a little bit more low down grunt.
Makes sense.
You don't really run nitrous below 3,000 RPM because the engine can't consume it.
Right,
So
okay.
you tend to get the backfires up the intake and blows the intake manifold off
No, fucking hell. That wouldn't be good.
No.
Wow. Power for days.
Well, it just keeps going, doesn't it? So,
yeah.
and then that's no gas there, so.
How much did you say this is running at the moment?
At the moment on that boost level, probably about 510, something like that.
Still pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's enough, isn't it?
So yeah, plenty.
But it keeps pulling, you see, there's a big power range from there.
Yeah.
You can tell, I think we're only running 1.8, 1.9 bar there, so.
Yeah.
All you're doing with the nitrous is basically, you know, nitrous is freezing, so you're reducing the air temp, but also the nitrous is oxygen, so you're adding oxygen in a very, you know, in lots and lots of it, very dense. So because you're adding lots more oxygen and you add extra fuel in effect, you're increasing the size of the engine in effect by doing that.
Right.
You're not, but you know, that's kind of what it does, yeah. So you're just putting more mixture in there, and in a much smaller confined area, and then that'll explode much better, which gives you more power. If that makes sense, anyway.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
but I mean, it comes on boost 4,000, you know, and then it'll set off. The good thing about these cars is because you don't run a huge amount of boost on them, it's nice and smooth. It's not crazy power, you know. It's on pump fuel. We've not got water meth, you know. We've not got octane boost or anything like that in the car. It's just on normal fuel.
Okay.
So we've got to be, you know, got to be careful what we do.
I love the sound of these things. Oh, they're just so awesome. So cool. Good fun, this car. Oh.
It'd be more fun if I could actually fit in the seat properly and I wasn't such a fat bastard.
They are quite tight, to be fair.
That's just you saying that, yeah.
No. I mean, they do support you.
Yeah, to be fair, I think now we've done a mile or two, I'm pretty much wedged in the seat now, so we're all right. You'll have to, when we get back, you'll have to get all the lads to try and pull me out. Your little face, you're like...
I really enjoy it, even though like my face probably is like saying otherwise. It's like, it's such a thrill. I mean, it's weird. It's like, it's bizarre, I think, because I'm...
And it handles as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You don't think you would, and then you like come to a corner and you think, oh, I'm not going to get around that, and then it just does that and it goes around.
Because
So
it's
full. Well, yeah, and
how long it is.
it's got KW variant 3 dampers on it, and it's got fully bushed, and you know, everything on it's like super good. Do you know how much nitrous is a bottle now?
How much?
It's about £120 a bottle.
How quickly can you get through it?
Quick enough. Probably too quick, to be fair.
Flippin' heck. I'm really pleasantly surprised by this car. It's great. Great fun.
There we go, 27.9.
Yes. Love it.
I suppose we better do a launch, haven't we?
Yes, standard procedures. I was going to ask if this had launch control. Guess I got my answer. If this is going to be as bad as the cabriolet. Get it. Oh, never gets old. G-force, brilliant.